Okay, here's an example of matrix multiplication. And I'm going to put this on YouTube. That way I'll be able to show this later. So there was a situation that came up in one of my notes in regards to hours and pay. And if I remember correctly, these were all hour measurements. I'm just throwing this out generically. I can't remember the details. And I'll call that A. And then this was the pay. And the pay might have been like this. Now, if you're really trying to find AC, there's going to be 4 entries. And I'll call the entries top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. And I know this doesn't sound very mathematical. Now, if you want the top left, you have to multiply these numbers by these numbers, but you have to do it in this manner. And by the way, this matrix is what they call a 2 by 3, and this other matrix is called a 3 by 2. But the thing is, it's a special situation involving rows and columns. And yes, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it might make a little more sense once you see the math in action. Now, for the top left, you have to take the 1.1 times 15. You have to take the 1.3 times 16. And then you have to take the 1.5 times 17. Then you go and you work it in a calculator, and working it out in a calculator, I'm just going to work it out on a calculator. You're going to end up with I ended up with 62.8. So that's the top left. Yeah, my calculator says, yeah, just to make sure, I got 1.1 times 15, which was 16.5, 1.3 times 16, which was 20.8, and 1.5 times 17, that's 25.5. So that adds up to checking my math repeatedly, checking my process repeatedly. And yeah, you got to check your stuff repeatedly. Yeah, that's 62.8. Now, to calculate the top right, I'm going to get rid of some of this red. But for the top right, now you have to do the same process, but you have to do it with these. So that's going to change the calculation down here. Instead of 15, 16, and 17, you're going to multiply by the other hours, which is 18, 19, and 20. And that's going to give me a higher number, of course. It'll give me 1.1 times 18 plus 1.3 times 19 plus 1.5 times 20. That's 74.5. But yeah, the result of this matrix was going to actually be the rows by column possibilities. And because of the 2 rows by 2 columns, you're going to get a 2 by 2 matrix. And by the way, that was TR, not TL, just to clarify your thinking. Then you have to go and repeat the process with the bottom row, the bottom row and the bottom column, bottom row and left column, I meant to say. So that's 1.8 times 15, 2 times 16, 2.2 times 17. And then I have to go and figure that out. That's going to be 96.4. And then last but not least, I have the bottom row and the right column, which is BR. So now I'm going to go and move over to this column. And then I'm going to end up multiplying 18, 19, and 20. And there's a lot of math that you might want to consider doing. Right now, I'm just doing the Zoom whiteboard, and you might want to consider using this technique to solve math problems, because sometimes it's just easier to have things that don't involve a lot of paper. I have a touchscreen, and I use the touchscreen quite religiously too. That's 114.4. So now my 2x2 matrix, my 2x3 by a 3x2 matrix is going to result in a 2 row by 2 column matrix. And that's going to be this final answer. And I have plenty more things to watch. Like I said, multiplication is anything but easy. But that's how you would handle a multiplication of matrices. It's not like addition. This is a completely different process. Now, some of you might remember what they call dot products in pre-cal. This is very similar, or vectors. This is very similar. Anyway, thank you very much.